What's going on, fellow Buildship builders, the Assistocrats, the people who are building the crazy stuff? I just wanted to make a video for you here, just over the Buildship in general here. There's a lot of us, 20 of us, but 20 of us working in a workflow space with sensitive information. I thought I would just kind of go over everything and then make sure everyone's educated on kind of a flow here, just so everything's a bit more organized. So here's what I'll do is I'll share my screen here, and I have the community Buildship pulled up. All right. So we have tons of workflows here. I'm not going to go into anybody's personal workflows, but I'll show you kind of the stuff that I have set up here. All right. So I'll just delete this test one I had there. Okay. So in here, I have it separated here, and it looks like there's, by the community already kind of set up a cadence here. We'll get a tad bit more organized in the way that this works, and maybe even make something a little bit more official. But just until then, what I did is I made a folder here called personal space. So if you have things that you're working on and you kind of want it separated from the rest of all these crazy workflows that are all over the place, I set this aside right here for you to come in here. You can create a folder. All right, you can name it, Johnny, and you can even put a little emoji. If I'll grab a little emoji over here. There we go. And I could just drop that in the personal space there, and then you can kind of have that as your own individual little workspace type thing, just to kind of separate it from the rest of all this craziness here. And what we'll have here is community built API. So these are things that are live, that are used by the community. These are endpoints that either I or the community has built to give to everybody else to use in their assistants, to use in their everyday lives, and running their agency. These will be here. These are the APIs. Deprecated. This is stuff that perhaps you worked on or it's no longer supported. I wouldn't necessarily call it a trash can, but maybe something that you no longer want to touch, but you don't want to get rid of. You can throw it here and deprecate it. All right. And then it looks like there's a naming convention here. And again, this was community built, but it looks like there's some ideas that they're throwing in here with kind of a pipeline lifestyle into these things. So developing in here. And then it looks like built needs review. Looks like there's some reviewing stuff here. And then live. Okay. Super cool. We'll probably follow a cadence like that. And then the rest of these are just random workflows, which I will probably clean up. And I'll probably have a cadence to clean up, just so that we're all, working and we have adequate space to do the things that we need to do. So, best practices here. I'm going to pause and I'm going to create a blank workflow, because there are some things that you need to do before you start throwing out API keys and everything like that. I'll show you what we can do. Okay, so I just have this test workflow here, just with a simple trigger. All right, so I'm just going to set up an OpenAI assistant. And I'm doing this for the fact that with something like this, it involves API keys, right? And whether you're familiar to dev or not, or you're pretty technical, API keys are pretty important. They act pretty much as giving someone your password to an account, right? It's like a back-end password. That's what an API key is, right? It's like authenticating yourself, so it's like logging in. And if your API key is out here in the open for everybody to see, may not be the greatest idea. Somebody can grab your API key, manipulate your account, and overall just not a great practice. Buildship has an amazing thing here because it's more of a workspace environment. Now if we have something like an API key here, you see if I click on it, this could be anything. This could be any input. So yeah, I have secrets here. All right, you can click on this and you can see some people already have their secrets in here. But if you're dealing with an API key, what you need to do is you need to add a secret. And so what this is going to do, but just to preface, it's going to hide your API key. At this point, once you put it in there, it's almost like a variable, or like in high level, a custom field. You just put it where you need it to go, right? And even editing it, I can't go in here and edit it and change it. If I go to do that, like I'll do this example, video example key, and say our key is 12341234, right? I can't go back in there and get that secret value. You just can't. All right. So it's a really good way to protect your personal information, which is API keys. You think your email and phone number is important on the internet, and I promise you an API key is much more significant of a security thing. So if you're ever doing something that requires an API key, an account ID, something that can differentiate if you're going to use the public Buildship, something that may link to your account specifically, make sure you put it in a secret and make sure you name it. And then make sure you just reference the secret because someone can't come in here and manipulate it, right? Unless they do. Um, but now when I go to API key, instead of me putting 1234123 which is basically giving someone access to like run up my account, like on OpenAI, run up my account, right? I can just put secret and then video example key, and that'll just fill it out for me, and we're good to go, right? And even assistant ID, again, is it like the craziest thing, but I would probably do Jordan underscore assistant underscore ID or whatever workflow I'm working on, right? Just keep your stuff that may be, that may need to be kept a secret, keep it a secret. And then the instructions and prompt and thread ID, those are all things that'll be passed as variables, so you don't have to worry about those. But I thought I'd preface that as we, start to kind of build around this thing. Buildship is a very, very powerful tool. I talked with the founder. I love their vision, right? It seems like we're pretty early on this platform. We're the number one user. One of our workspaces is, anyways. We're the number one user by volume, by miles. So it looks like we're pretty early, and it's a very powerful tool, especially with managing your clients and learning to get a bit more technical. I was just telling someone the other day that if I were to create an agency or for this managed service that we're about to do, I would incorporate a lot of Buildship aspects because there are things like email assistance that you can do in here, personal executive assistance that you can do in here pretty much with a couple clicks of a button. And we ran 70 million requests through it last month and didn't have not an ounce of downtime. This is a very, very powerful tool. And I just thought I would kind of set this thing. We'll formalize it a bit more because, again, I think education and community around this is very powerful. I can't express enough how powerful this tool is. I use it every single day. I have a lot of stuff that I do on my personal one, which is things like sending me daily and weekly Stripe reports. I have one that looks at all my meetings on the calendar and looks up the person and tells me a little bit about them so I can save some time. It does that every morning. I call it my matcha flow. You wake up, you have your coffee or matcha. But there's just a lot of things you can do with this tool, and because we're in a shared environment here with potentially sensitive information, I thought I would just make this video and say, look, I'm paying for this out of pocket because I want you to learn. I want you to become very powerful. I want you to service your clients well. I want you to make your life easier. All right, protect your information, respect others' information. And then when it comes to stuff in here, have fun, respect other people's stuff, and that's about it. I hope that's helpful. Thanks so much.